this is a trick another magician showed me, right? It's pretty cool. So what he did was, he had me have a card, right? And then I put it back in the deck, I shuffled them, and he shuffled them, and he put them in the box, and then right away, something so whatever it was, right? Which was quite cool, but I'm going to show you how it's done, right? So keep this to yourself. There's nothing to do with the cards, right? It was all to do with the box. And it looked like just an ordinary box, right? But a little secret door in it. It's like this. You couldn't see it. It's kind of hidden in the box, right? This one's just there, right? It was in the sort of perfect design. No, expenses. So, all of that was get my card to the box. So let's assume my card is the kind of box, right? So once you've got it at the bottom of the bag, the card's in the box, you make it to the box, and then you just open it, right? And you can see it was the kind of really cheeky, right? So you close that up again, right? So you can open it if you like it, obviously. And you can see it's kind of closed it up. And obviously, it was the kind of thing that was cool about this, if you didn't know it was there, it was almost completely invisible. Really? And that was the cool thing you could check out. So, how's that hangover coming?
It's getting lost, it's getting lost by the minute.
Let me show you something else, right? This was a trick another magician showed me, right? And it's really good. What he did was, he had me pick a card, right? And I put it back in the pack, and I shuffled them, and he shuffled them, and then he put them in the box, and then like right away he said 9 of diamonds or whatever it was, which was amazing, right? I'm going to show you how it was done. It was nothing to do with the cards, right? They were just sort of ordinary cards. It was all to do with the box, and it looked like just an ordinary kind of tatty box. But it had a little secret door in it, and I'll show you what I mean. So it was kind of hidden in it, you know, it was like some James Bond device. So it was just here. You couldn't actually see it. It's sort of hidden in the pattern of the box. So this is just for illustration purposes. Right, so it was just about here, just in the right spot. It had this little door. In fact, it's a little door, a little handle. So all he had to do was get my card to the bottom. So let's assume that card was the queen of clubs, right? So once he got it to the bottom of the pack, and he knew what my card was, right? He popped in the box like this, and he waited until no one was looking. He just opened the little door like that, right? And you could see that it was queen of clubs. So you can open the door like that. Now the thing that was cool about it was, obviously, it was the queen. The thing that was really cool, if you didn't know it was there, it was almost completely invisible.
It's not
Check it out. I think again, man, it's pretty cool thing, I think.
Oh, you don't like those?
You can check it out, you know, check it out. Or you can check out these if you want. Press on that again.
Did you see it as a watch?
No, well you've seen it the whole time, you've seen it. It's just magic, that's all, it's just magic. This was a trick that another magician showed me, right? This is what I was going to show you. It was not, what he did was I picked a card, right? And I put it back in the pack, I shuffled them, he shuffled them, and he put them back in the box, and then right away, 9 of diamonds, whatever it was, right? Which was pretty impressive. But here's the thing, right? I'm going to show you how it was done, right? There's nothing to do with the cards, right? So the cards were just normal cards. It was all to do with the box, right? Card box. A little secret door in it. You couldn't actually see it there. It was kind of hidden in the pattern of the box. It was roughly about here. Right, you can see it was hidden in the pattern, so it's really, really well made. So that, right? In fact, it's not like that. As you do, yeah. So all I had to do to get my cards to the bottom, right? So let's assume my card is between the cards, right? So all I have to do is wait to the bottom. Once it was to the bottom of the pack, the cards were at the bottom, so just wait for them to fall to the bottom, right? Like that. So you can get a peek of it, right? Obviously, we know this, right? If you hit the box there, so it's completely invisible. Hi, I'm Roddy McGhie. Thank you for purchasing Little Door. This has been my closely guarded go-to effect for many years. It's by far my favourite effect. It never fails to get fantastic reactions. I hope you enjoy performing it as much as I do. Let's have a look at the setup. Okay, so let's look at what you've got in your package and how you set this up. So what you get is essentially a dry wipeable box back. It has magnets attached to it and some double-sided tape. Now the reason I went with this kind of method, and let me tell you about how I originally did this trick. What I used to do is I'd get a piece of white card and I'd put the magnets on it and put it inside the box and stick it inside there. And I would draw on the outside of the box. It was the old bicycle design, and I would just draw the door there and wipe it off. But what I found was that not all boxes are dry wipeable. There was just a certain batch of them that would wipe off, other ones that wouldn't work. So, and also they changed the back design to this. So the solution to that is to have this dry wipeable back. Everything wipes off this really, really well, and obviously it turns your box into the kind of old back design. Now you'll see from the one that you were provided with that it has the mandolin design. I don't actually really use mandolin cards very often. I just have this one on a bicycle box. No one ever notices. It doesn't make any difference at all. When I perform this trick, I use bicycle back cards, not those. And no one ever notices the difference. So let's look at how we set this up. Okay, so let's look at the handling for this effect. First of all, you have your little door gimmick, and this goes like face down. It has a double face thing, but you'll know what I mean. It goes face down on the face down deck like that. So it goes on top of your deck like this with the door face down. Now you need it's not really a force card, but you need the card that matches the card inside your gimmick on the face of the deck, and that's that. The deck is now set up. Normally I do this as an opening effect with the cards, and I usually have a few other gimmicks in there, like Flux. It's pretty good, you should check that out. I have a few other gimmicks in there which I generally ditch one at a time as I go through a set. So it's great to start with, because once you've finished the effect, you just simply go to your pocket for something and you just drop the gimmick into your pocket, and the deck can be an ordinary deck or whatever else you want to do. So that's the setup. You have your gimmick at the top here and your matching card on the bottom, and then you're all set to go. Okay, so now let's look at how you draw this little door. Now this is the bit that's going to take practice. Okay, it will take practice, and I urge you to practice this bit to make this right, because what sells this trick is the retention of vision. It's best when you're practicing this, it's best to use the gimmick as a guide, right? So you can see where the lines go here. Now your first line, this is the order I do it, and you might find you're more comfortable doing it in a different order, but this is the order that works for me. I've been doing this for years, and this is the way I always draw the door. So I start at this point here, which is just, your line is going through the middle of the heart, from here right down to the centre of the mandolin there. So your line just goes from here to here. So that's your first line. Your second line, you're just following along the top of the back design down to about here. Then I do this line down to about the centre of this spiral here. I use that as a kind of guide. So once you get down there, and also you've got this line as a sort of visual guide there. So the same length, and then you just join these up. So after you've done this, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Because there's a slight discrepancy, but no one ever notices that. And once you practice this, you'll get to the point where you can do it exactly the same. The next point is the door. Now, I always do that as a little afterthought. So I draw the door on, sorry, the handle. So I draw the door on, and I say, oh, actually, we'll draw a handle too. Now, if you look at the back design here, this little space between the feather and the butterfly there, you just want to circle that little space there. You know, I did it quite big there, but like I say, no one notices the slight discrepancies. So again, you're just encircling this little space here. You can see there's a little kind of curl that comes off there, so you're just basically drawing a circle around that, and that is your door. So I would urge you to, I think when it comes to this trick, this is the most important part, because you want this retention of vision to be good. So just practice drawing on your box in whatever order you feel most comfortable with. Like I say, I am more comfortable starting with this very straight line here, where it's quite an obvious visual sort of guide. So I go from here to here. Along here is nice and easy because you're just following that line. Then down to here. Okay, I rushed that a little there, but you can tidy up a little bit. So that's how you draw the door, and you let it dry before you try and wipe it off, or that'll happen. But we'll get back to that in a moment. So let's look at how you load your gimmick onto the box. So what I like to do is I hold, because this card has a kind of slightly glossy finish to it, you might find that sometimes it sticks and you pull off a couple of extra cards when you go to load that in there, which is not good. Very much tipping the method. You have to really go at this with a bit of confidence. You have to be confident that the magnets are going to contact that. So really all you're doing is, I hold the deck like this, not quite in the middle, almost between the bottom and the middle there with my thumb and middle finger, and I don't hold it very tightly. I just trust that the magnet's going to take that. So you hold the box in your hand like this. Again, you're displaying the door there. You bring this up, you're displaying the king, you're saying, so let's say my card was the king of clubs, and as you bring your hand across, you just load the gimmick on. You see I did that kind of slowly, and I caught a little card there. You really don't want to do that. You want to have confidence in the magnet, just basically drop it on there. You're almost doing it in two stages, where you dump it on and then load them in. You just release pressure very slightly. In fact, it's minimal, the pressure. You just feel the pull of the magnet. From the front, it looks as if the cards don't really come near the box. It's because you're just coming down here to put them in. It's a natural action. But what you want to do is practice that until you can get it nice and smooth, like this. Now, the angle that you're viewing the gimmick at, you don't want them to see the gimmick from the side, because, you know, as much as it's beautifully made, you can see that there's that extra part there. So in order to cover those angles, really what you're doing is you're trying to give your spectator the best angle, but the great thing about that is you're also covering your angles on the gimmick as well. So you're showing the door here, you show the king as you're talking. So let's say your card was the king of clubs, you load it on as you go into the box. I usually hold the box like this. So as soon as they go in, my fingers kind of wrap round here, so I'm protecting this side, I'm protecting this, I'm making sure the gimmick's lined up. But really your angle for your spectator to view this is from here. So you're trying to show them as much of the back of the box as possible, and like I say, it gives you the added advantage that you're covering your gimmick. So let's look at that loading on one more time. So you pick your box up like this, you say, let's say your card was blah blah blah, you load it on, so you're almost dumping it on almost as you're going across, but like I say, try and make it as fluid a movement as possible. Once they're in here, your fingers just come round and then you're ready to open the door, display it around a little. Sometimes what I do is I'll close the box right up before I open the door. And then if there's a bigger crowd, I can show more people, so I say blah blah blah, you know, they can see it was the king, and I say, and obviously the guy was like this going, oh, is it the king of clubs? And I show it around, but again, I'm giving them this angle to view it at, you know, I don't want them to see the sides. And then you close it up again, and then it's unloading the gimmick very, very easy. So what you do is you bring the cards out about halfway and say, obviously we know it was the king of clubs. Now as you tilt the cards toward the box towards yourself, really as if you're tilting towards yourself to take the cards out, what you're going to do is just steal this off with the cards as you lay them down on the table. More often than not, I'll just pop the whole deck in my pocket, and then all the attention's here, you rub the door off, and then you go back into your pocket and you bring the deck out and leave the gimmick behind. So let's just look at the unload again. I'll do it slowly and then I'll show you at speed. So obviously we know it was the king of clubs. No, that was it at speed. And you rub the little door off, and now I'll do it slowly. Okay. So slowly, after you've closed the door up, you've got to this position again. So obviously we know it was the king. You tip it towards yourself, and as you come over here, your thumb comes back. You won't be able to see that from this angle, so your thumb comes back, steals that, pulls it flush with the cards as you lay this down here. Now, your attention is here, their attention is here. You make sure that you're looking at this and drawing attention to this. The cards are of no consequence. You've made that clear at the start. The cards are of absolutely no consequence. You're showing them again that it was the king of clubs. Now, the thing that was great about this, so these are out of the picture, you know, your focus is here. So one more time, I'll do it at speed. In fact, I'll do the whole thing. So let's say your card was the king of clubs. You put them in here, blah 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 blah. You opened the door, and obviously we know it was the king of clubs. But the thing that was particularly cool about this is that blah 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 blah. Okay. Okay, so the pen you receive with Little Door will probably be different from this one, just for packaging purposes. I tend to use this one quite a lot. You get them for like $2 for a box of them, and they give you a nice thick black line. You can use any dry wipe pretty much, but I would say if you're going to test out one, just test it out on the bottom of the box. Make sure that it wipes off. Actually, let it dry before you wipe it off. You could use the dry wipe Sharpie. I actually use a dry wipe Sharpie quite a bit, and I don't know if it enhances the effect, to be honest. I don't know if it does, but there was one time at a private party about a year ago, I did the effect. It got the reactions that it usually does, with people like, what, you know, examining the box. But this one woman was saying, I can't believe that. That's a permanent marker. You know, you can't wipe that off of anything. And this was what she was amazed by, was the fact that I'd used this Sharpie to do it. So, you know, maybe it's worth doing for that one person in 1,000 who cares that much. So yeah, pretty much any dry wipe will do. The one that you're provided with will probably be different from this. One other thing to mention, and this is probably overkill and completely unnecessary, but it's something that I do. The gimmick that you stick on the box and your Little Door gimmick will have a kind of tab, you know, your deck seal printed on here. Now what I've done is I've actually put a real deck seal on top of that, and a real deck seal on top of the gimmick as well. It's totally not necessary, but you know, it's just a kind of OCD almost type thing. I feel more comfortable. It matches the one that's on there. And also when you're preparing the box, it's also quite good to have a matching deck seal on there. I know some of them have a different colour, so you want to make sure you put it on a box that the deck seal matches with, you know what I mean? So that's all about the pen and the deck seal, so enjoy. So let me show you a trick another magician showed me. It was pretty good. What he did was he had me select a card. I popped it back in the deck and I shuffled them, and he shuffled them, he put them in the box, and then right away he said 9 of diamonds or whatever it was. Now, it was pretty impressive, but what was more impressive was the method, right? I'm going to share this with you, so don't tell anyone. It was nothing to do with the cards, it was all to do with the box. Now, it seemed like a perfectly ordinary card box, but had a little secret door in it, and I'll show you what I mean. It was just about here. Now, you couldn't see this, it was very well hidden in the kind of pattern of the box, but it was just about here. So in fact, we'll do a little handle as well. So all he had to do was get my card to the bottom. So let's assume my card was the king of clubs. So once it was in the bottom and the cards were in the box, He waited till no one was looking, then he opened the little door. He could see, right, it was the king of clubs. So he closed it up again, and obviously we know it was the king, right? If you didn't know that was there, it was almost completely invisible, and that's what was particularly cool about this. And that's it.